Wow, what an amazing video game list. Now we're on to TV, and here is the worst one. Parallel universes. Most of this season is just terrible Twilight Zone episodes. Fucking Sabrina the Teenage Witch shows up. And this show isn't done yet. There's another season of this. I'm not watching it, but there's another season of this shit. Just fuck this. I'm fucking done. Fuck this video. Fuck this channel. Fuck you. Fuck this.
46.
Fucking shit. It wasn't even a fucking ending. The comics had an ending. This was just a glorified advertisement for their fucking miniseries cash grab. They fucked this story up for more money. Just fuck Robert Kirkman. Just fuck him. Fuck this shit. I'm fucking done. Fuck this. Fuck off.
45.
At least there's some elements of this show I vaguely kinda like. But the story is still just fucking nonsense. The dialogue in this show is fucking terrible. The budget of this show, and this season in particular, really showed. Just fuck me. Fuck. Just fuck. Next.
44.
Man, what a stupid fucking show. The writing was just tacky and reeked of people who didn't give a shit about Resident Evil at all. Jade Wesker was the biggest gash on the fucking planet. Just the worst fucking character. No redeeming qualities about her. Lance Reddick only wore the costume for one scene. It was pointless anyways. It was just dumb shit about clones for this story. Like, technically, on a technical perspective, it had some fun action, and occasionally, the score and the soundtrack weren't completely annoying. I think I remember there being a ghost song during one scene, and that was kind of fun. Bad show. Next.
43.
When I was initially drafting this particular list, I completely forgot that I had watched the first season of Halo. And for good reason. Just what a dogshit meme of an adaptation. It just misunderstood so much about what made Halo great at one point.
Okay, so what I think I'm trying to say is that the UNSC have been turned into this pseudo-fascist organization. Yeah. Continue.
Master Chief fucking talks throughout this and walks around without armor all the fucking time. Why? None of that happens in the games. All the new characters they introduced in this show are fucking dumb. It's a visually bland show, but respect for the fucking set design and the costumes and whatnot. They looked kinda nice. In terms of production design in general, it's fine for a TV budget. And bless Pablo Schreiber. He was looking yoked in this season, and he at least played the games. So, like, he was trying. Fuck this show. Fuck it. Next.
42.
Just insert any comments that I've made about The Walking Dead right here. Like, Coleman Domingo was good in this season, though. I'll admit that. Coleman Domingo's great. Love that guy. And generally speaking, Fear the Walking Dead is better than the main show in terms of writing, but that's not a high bar to jump. So, like, Next.
41.
Just end this fucking show already, please. Like, it's technically fine. I really love the special effects in this show. The writing was slightly better than the previous season, I will admit that. They fixed a bunch of things that went wrong. But again, this show is overstaying its welcome. The writing is just so predictable and so fucking corny And the pacing this season is fucking dog shit. All these episodes are fucking movies. I don't want to watch an hour and a half episode of television. Like, I just wanted to fucking die. Just fuck me. End this fucking show. Next.
40.
It's a WWE thing. Like, but I wanted to include it on this list because I thought it was cute. The selection of characters they looked at was kinda interesting. Some of the guys interviewed had some interesting things to say, you know. It's fun hearing Randy Orton talk about his character in this show. Otherwise, it was just mostly boring biographical stuff I mostly already knew. John Cena narrating the show was kinda cute. Overall, if you're a wrestling fan, it's a light watch. It's nothing special, but it's kinda fun. Next.
39.
The beginning of season 9 of The Blacklist is just fucking stupid. It did this whole split the team up just so we can bring them back together thing.
Okay, so maybe I should explain exactly why that's bad. In general, it's just, like, predictable, because they do it within, like, an episode or two, and, you know, it's hackneyed. Like, oh, everyone's split up, it's a whole new dynamic, and you're just sitting there like, they're gonna bring them all back together. Like, come on, if they had balls, they would have kept the dynamic established at the beginning of season 9 for the rest of the show. Like, that would be interesting, but no. These writers are all fucking hacks, and they did the predictable, you know, we brought them back together to reunite the gang, yeah, fuck off. Continue.
The whole Liz Keane murder mystery was moderately fun, like, I guess. James Spader, once again, though, is the heart of this show. Like, he just carries it. Diego Klatinoff, I guess, turns in an okay wrestler performance for this season. Yeah, at this point in time, I couldn't really tell you where this show was going, but we'll get to the next season, very soon. Next.
38.
The first 2 episodes of this show, The Terminal List, are actually kinda decent. They really built up this interesting layer of ambiguity to it. You couldn't really tell if the main character was, like, having a schizo episode, or he was actually onto something. It was really kind of interesting. And the last 2 episodes were decent as well, and they examined the morality of the situation and questioned, like, what the main character was doing from a moral standpoint. It was interesting. Everything in between that, though, was just mid. Like, the writing, the filmmaking, it was all just kinda mid. Chris Pratt tries, at least, but someone else should have been given this role. Like John Bernthal. I think he would have crushed it in this role. It's amusing overall, I guess, but Next.
37.
I'm always fine with Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's a solid performance all around. Everyone gave solid performances in this show. The filmmaking was perfectly competent. The special effects were nice for a TV show. All the Star Wars stuff tends to have really decent special effects. The writing was just sketchy though, and it was so lopsided. Obi-Wan just ended up looking like a total fucking geek, and it just really undercuts episode 4 of this show. Like, it's fine enough from a technical perspective, but in general, the writing was lacking, and I wasn't a big fan of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Next.
36.
I was looking forward to this series, because Moon Knight's cool, but this just really let me down. Like, some of the special effects were neat, some of the action was kinda fun. The character of Moon Knight, like I said, is pretty interesting. Oscar Isaac crushes it in this show, along with Ethan Hawke as well. Ethan Hawke was really good in this show. But it ended up being very just MCU. And the ending of the show was just overwhelming with all the fucking noise. Cape shit fanatics may like this, but I say miss it otherwise. Like, you wouldn't be missing much if you didn't watch it. Next.
35.
Man, what a fun batch of spooky nonsense. The filmmaking can be just fairly average at times, but the gore in this show, especially this season, is unreal. I absolutely loved the first episode where they showed this small girl and her mother just fucking eviscerated. Like, that shit's hardcore. But the writing is just full of contrivance and can be very blunt and on the nose. It's Stephen King-esque in tone, but it's not as sharp as a top-notch, King novel. The characters, I guess, are fun, and the performances are decent. It's a silly show, but it's a fun time. Next.
34.
It's more Bosch, I suppose. Like, Titus Welliver, he's getting more to chew on with these scripts, so he gets to stretch his acting chops a little. Some of the new characters are pretty fun. Mo is a pretty cool cat. The season ends on a cliffhanger, so it gets you interested in the next one. It gets just technically unimpressive, though. Just more Bosch, and that show wasn't that great. It had its moments, but it wasn't great. I'm not sure how many more times I can say it, but it's just more Bosch. Fuck. Next.
33.
I know this show was getting, clowned on by, the fans, but it's fun. It's fun enough. It's visually nice. I love the special effects in it. The acting's good as well. Tom Sturridge is good as Morpheus. I liked Gwen Christie's take on Satan. She was fun, but the writing is just so inconsistent. The best episodes of this show are what I liked from the comics. It was very thoughtful and interesting. The show, though, makes baffling decisions that bog other episodes down. There are clunky versions of great moments from the comics. Oddly bad dialogue. I don't know if that's because the comics weren't that greatly written, or they did a bad job at adapting these moments. I don't really know. I'd have to reread all these Sandman comics to be sure. It's scattershot in general, but it's an amusing watch. Next.
32.
What we have here, Andor. This took way too long to get to anything interesting. The robbery section and the prison section were really neat. I liked those parts. But most of this show was, so boring. Just boring. I loved the score. It was way different than any of the other Star Wars stuff. And the cast were decent enough. Diego Luna, he was really good as Andor. I dig the attempt at a new tone in the Star Wars universe, but it didn't quite hit the mark.
31.
The production design in House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones in general, is just stellar. The sets, the makeup, the costumes, the special effects, it's all, amazing for a TV show. I love the cinematography and editing. Game of Thrones always looked really, really nice. The writing was fine enough. I really am struggling to connect with these characters. The pacing's really off and the story doesn't feel really cohesive. At times, though, the performances are all pretty good and some of the character arcs are kinda neat. By the end of Season 1, I was really hoping that Season 2 improved on it. You'll be hearing about Season 2 very shortly. Next.
30.
Jason Bateman is just still the worst part of this show. My man has no range, and he's just playing Michael Bloof. He has to be carried, literally has to be carried by the rest of the cast, who act fucking circles around him. It's a shame because the writing in this show is really solid. I think this season had a strong ending for the show, and I really liked it. It's decent filmmaking as well, it's visually nice. Man, they should have cast someone else in this role. Good God. Next.
29.
I suppose continuing the show without Jessica Walter was possible. The series is always a fun watch. I dig Archer. There's some good chuckles throughout this season. The animation throughout is always nice. But thankfully, there was only one more season to go. And yeah, at this point, I think it was time for them to wrap it up. Next.
28,
I've said it before, I will say it again. Mayans MC is gonna age better than Sons of Anarchy. The writing is still trashy, just like Sons of Anarchy, but the characters I think are so much stronger. I love Easy Reyes as a character. The performances are all great as well. Big fan of JD Pardo and Eddie Alvarez in this show. They both crush it. The TV show budget is obvious in terms of the technical elements, but they put effort into this show, clearly. It's a fun time. It's an easy watch. You know, give it a go if you like your crime dramas, your crime thrillers, and the bikers and all that jazz. Yeah. Next.
27,
So there's a full review on the channel, but Book of Boba Fett, like the parts with Boba Fett himself were cool, and I was looking forward to, you know, Baby's first crime drama, much like Mandalorian was Baby's first Western. Tamira Morrison was crushing it, you know, despite his age showing in parts. Like, the man's getting up there. Maybe he shouldn't be playing this character anymore. Maybe he should only be voicing it. The technical stuff wasn't too bad. Like I said, you know, earlier, I love the sets. I love the special effects in Star Wars. But they lost to me in this show once they just backdoored a third season of Mandalorian in. Like, what was the point? If it was just gonna be, you know, The Mandalorian. It really just showed the lack of faith they had in this material. It was disappointing, but it's still entertaining. Next.
26,
Okay. They kind of went somewhere with it. You know, the writing is fine. It made up for 4's ending with some nice character development. The action scenes, though, are starting to expose the cast's salary because they ain't taking the bumps anymore, guys. And this editing is getting fucking nauseating. Oh, man. The music in the show is still fun. It's a fun season of this show, but oh my god, we are desperately in need of an ending, and thank god we are on the last season of this show. Next.
25,
So there is a full review on the channel, and the low bar of being better than Season 8 was reached with Dexter New Blood. The filmmaking was solid, the score and soundtrack is always great in Dexter. Michael C. Hall was just born to play this role. The rest of the cast crushed it as well. Clancy Brown was great in this show. The writing could be silly and sketch in its own right, but it made sense as a whole, I think. I liked the ending for this character. Fans have been generally divided on it, but I liked it. Check it out if you were a Dexter fan back in the day. Next.
24,
As it went on, I think Mayor of Kingstown Season 1, it got more interesting and entertaining. The plot sort of finds its footing the more it goes on, and the hooks and the through lines start to get a stronger foundation halfway through. The nuts and bolts of it all is Taylor Sheridan's usual shtick, and it has its moments of being very good. I think Jeremy Renner carries this show, along with Diane West and Aidan Gillen. The plot can get clunky, and there were some very just sanctimonious moments near the end. The filmmaking can range from a little cheap looking to pretty decent. It was fun recognizing spots from my hometown, since they shot a good chunk of this show here. It's not Sheridan's best work by any means, but it's a fun time. Yeah. Next.
23,
This is a wonderful premise for a show. Shoving a giant, jacked up action man into a cop drama. The performances were great. Alan Ritchson was fucking jacked. The man's a fucking unit. Malcolm Goodwin, Bruce McGill were also great as well. The action scenes were fucking awesome and just had me fucking howling. Oh, they were so entertaining. It's just a solid visual element to all of it. The choreography of these action scenes are great, and the stunts are all phenomenal. The writing was corny, don't get me wrong. It's a cop drama through and through. But the premise and Reacher's character being shoved into it held it all together. It's such a fun show. It's so entertaining. Give it a watch, especially this season. Next.
22.
There's a full review of this on the channel, but this was a fascinating documentary about Kanye. I loved the visual aspect of the show, seeing the evolution from all the old mini DV cameras to newer ones. That was cool. All the archival footage of Kanye was really neat to see, and when it focused solely on Kanye, it was really interesting. But when Cootie Simmons just starts jerking himself off throughout the documentary, it just became a bit much to deal with. Check it out if you're a Kanye fan. I really pray he still has fans because, yeah. Next.
21.
Man, it's just not the same show. The casting with Valhalla Season 1, it's very much just Netflix checking off diversity boxes. The characters themselves were at least interesting, and some of the performances were pretty damn good. I loved the production design. There's a lot of practical effects in the show. It's visually nice to look at. The Vikings shows have always been nice to look at. I love the score as well. The score has always been good in Vikings. It's fun. It's a fun time. If you like Vikings, feel free to check it out. Next.
20.
This season of Jack Ryan, it's just not as good as those first two seasons. The acting's on point. I always felt John Krasinski was really good in this role. Wendell Pierce is killing it. James Cosmo is killing it as well. It's great stuff. The action was still pretty fun in this season. Dug the production design. Decent money went into this show. The writing was generally fine. It functioned as a thriller, but it's just not as interesting as those previous seasons. Fucking Marussia was just not presented in an interesting manner as a threat. It's a fine spy thriller. Hope the final season is better. We'll find that out very soon. Next.
19.
This was a well-made biopic series. The acting is great. Evan Peters, fucking phenomenal as Jeffrey Dahmer. Richard Jenkins, Niecy Nash were great in this show. Really loved the cast. The score and the sound design in general in this show was solid. Very unnerving at times and really aided the atmosphere. It's visually decent, a little Fincher-esque in ways. Good camera work. The writing was meticulous in the research. It was very detailed. It handled some really interesting themes that I wasn't aware of in regards to Jeffrey Dahmer's story. It's a solid series. Watch it if you like your true crime stuff. Next.
18.
Man, I still really hate how The Boys looks visually, but I think The Boys compensates for that cheap-looking visual style with the writing. The writing is quite topical. I love Homelander's character development. The gore and the action is still fun in this show. The performances are all great. Anthony Starr, fucking legend, crushing it. It's a fun time. The Boys is still a fun time. And I say, check it out. Next.
17.
The Streaming Wars, South Park. This was a fun little conclusion to Season 22. I actually watched this before Season 22, so certain things were odd. On its own, though, it was fun, and with context, it was very, very fun. The gags were mostly funny, a couple didn't land. The commentary on streaming services was a bit obvious, but still very fun. I'm really glad that the Integrity Farm bit was done at this point. It's a fun watch. Next.
16,
So this is the context for Streaming Wars, Season 22 of South Park. And there's some really good stuff in this season. The token episode was absolutely god tier. Oh my god, I was pissing myself laughing during that episode. There is some really caustic and funny stuff in this season. Some of it doesn't land, but the really good stuff more than compensates for that. In general, it's a good time. Good season of South Park. But maybe, the show has run its course. And maybe we're going on for a little bit too long. Next.
15,
So, this show, the Cuphead show, it's cute. It's cute. The animation was interesting at times, but it's nowhere near as cool as the video game. The voice acting was fun. Wayne Brady showed up and he was just having a fucking ball with this script. The scripts were clearly aimed at, kids, but it could be quite funny at times. I really liked the continuity in the later episodes of the show. That was neat. The characters were all charming. The music in the show was really cute. It's a fun little cartoon. Watch it, especially with your kid. They'd like it. Next.
14,
So, certain aspects of this show I kind of like more than Yellowstone. The narration wasn't too overbearing, was actually quite poetic and enchanting at times. There's tons of great performances, there's a great cast, the characters were all really interesting, they tackle many of the themes that Yellowstone does. It's visually nice, just like Yellowstone is, but it's the sets, it's the costumes, the production design in general that really steal the show, no pun intended. It's very good Western TV. Though it's not as tightly written or as presented as Yellowstone proper is. Next.
13,
With Billions Season 6, it was just not the same show anymore. In terms of quality, it was fine. The writing's sharp as usual. The characters are interesting. The filmmaking is interesting enough. I love the soundtrack in this show. It's always good. But once you lose a central character in a show, we start to wonder if you have any ideas left, It's still a great show. I say check it out. Next.
12,
So, there's a full review of this on the channel. John Cena absolutely is crushing it with this show. He's both hilarious and genuinely impressive with showing emotion. He has some great acting chops. Love John Cena. The gore in this show is absolutely wild and the action was really well done. The special effects are decent for a TV show. The costumes are fantastic. I love Peacemaker's costume. I love the white dragon guy. That was great. The writing is very, very James Gunn. It's quippy, it's funny, it's a little ham-fisted, but, it's entertaining. It's damn fun cape shit, and I say you gotta check this out, especially if you're the cape shit fanatic sort of guy. Yeah. I don't fucking know. Next.
11,
This was a really good season of Yellowstone. What can I say? The writing's sharp. I love the characters and the blending of tones in the show. The performances, all of them are stellar. Kevin Costner was killing it in this season. Kelly Riley, fucking phenomenal. The dime piece of a woman. Love her in this show. Wes Bentley, fucking excellent in this series. Brilliant performances, brilliant cast. Filmmaking, fine. It's generally fine. It's visually nice. I love all the scenic shots. It's nothing too spectacular, though. The music is where it's at. I fucking detest modern country, but that sort of soundtrack really fits this show. It's really good season of TV. I say check out Yellowstone. Next.
10,
So this show, Yellow Jackets, it's very interesting. I like the writing. It's an interesting combination of, a survival thriller, a horror show. It's really cool. The performances are all great. Melanie Linsky, Christina Ricci were fantastic this season. And the filmmaking is pretty damn good. I dig the editing and the soundtrack in this show. I love the opening credits music. It's a fucking banger of a song. Maybe the cult stuff is not as interesting as the survival aspects and the consequences of that, but you know, it's solid. It's a fun time. It's a good show. I say check it out. Next.
9,
So yeah, this was just another really good season of Snowfall. I love the visual style in this show, especially in this season. There's lots of trippy imagery used. The score is fucking out of this world, like banger beats all around. The soundtrack is full of fucking golden age hip-hop fucking bops. Damson Idris, fucking phenomenal in this show. Whole cast is absolutely crushing it. I love the character of Franklin Saint, and his downfall is incredibly captivating to watch here. And the themes are real meaty. I can't wait to review this show when I rewatch it. It's a damn fun crime drama. You gotta check it out. Next.
8,
Man, fucking David Simon is back with another fucking banger of a show. I love the creative presentation of this story. It's told in out-of-order elements, framing it through these police reports. It's cool. It tackles similar themes to other shows that Simon has done, but through a modern lens. The music is great. I love the theme song. It's this like real noisy fucking jazz rap beat. It's cool. John Bernthal is fucking wonderful in this show. He truly fucking unleashes his inner loudmouth cunt in this show. It's great. It could have looked grittier from a cinematography perspective. The Wire, it was a very like gritty guerrilla sort of show, and this was a bit too clean. It's still a damn good show though, and I think you should watch it. Next.
7,
Yeah, no, again, you know, another great season of this particular show. And the end game for this is in sight, and we are setting up some real interesting things for these characters. However obvious the political commentary can be, the world of Atwood's Gilead is really fascinating. It's technically a great show, it's visually nice, and makes great use of audio design. And the sets are absolutely beautiful. The locales they choose are really nice. I'm excited to see how this ends, and I'm excited to read the books after this. Yeah. Next.
6,
This series, Under the Banner of Heaven, just a brilliant mini-series here. The visual style of this show is really something. In particular, I loved the editing. The score and the soundtrack, it's all very post-rock. They use some Godspeed in the show, and I love whenever people use Godspeed, so. The acting, oh my god, it's so phenomenal. Great cast, you know, Andrew Garfield, Gil Birmingham, Rory Culkin, Wyatt Russell, many others just fucking crushing it. It handles a very interesting true story really well, and it handles the themes about the cult tendencies in the Mormon church really well. Fucking Mormons, man. Like, they be wildin' out here. Fuck. Yeah, oh, great show. Definitely watch this one. I may do a review for this show. Yeah. Next.
5,
So this show, Righteous Gemstones, is goddamn hilarious. And this season in particular, season 2, is probably the strongest season so far. The writing balances tone just so fucking well. It's simultaneously hilarious and really thoughtful. I didn't realize, you know, Danny McBride had such a fucking thoughtful bone in his body, but you know, fuck it. The acting is just fantastic. Great ensemble cast. It's probably Danny McBride's best performance. You know, John Goodman's fucking crushing it. The soundtrack is nothing but, you know, church music, Christian rock, just Jesus-tinged bangers. Praise the Lord. Fucking, I don't know. The filmmaking is amazing. just for a comedy show. It's brilliant stuff. I love Righteous Gemstones. You gotta watch this show. Next.
4,
Bravo, Vince. Bravo. Bravo. Yeah, anyways, fantastic final season for Soul. Brilliant filmmaking, though the fucking editing in this show still bothers me. It didn't in Breaking Bad, but for this show, the cuts to commercials were just janky. The score is brilliant. The soundtrack is great. Phenomenal performances. Bob Odenkirk, this is the role that will forever define him. He's just amazing in this show. The characters either get satisfying endings or leave us satisfied with their backstories heading into Breaking Bad. The writing in this show, as usual, is phenomenal. The ending is bittersweet, and I love it. It's just a goddamn great show, and you have to watch it. But come on. Next.
3,
This was at the top of my list for a while. But, a couple other shows I watched took its place. But admittedly, Euphoria's many plot lines at this point were becoming a bit much. And it could get a little over the top. But Sam was keeping me invested. The filmmaking, as usual, was brilliant. It's a visual feast. The score and soundtrack are absolutely brilliant. Zendaya's best performances come in this show. The cast is, phenomenal in general. The themes are relevant and handled, really well. It's hammy. It's a bit much, but, it's handled in your face and honestly, and that's great. The characters, I would have maybe said the characters were going interesting directions, but oh boy, season 3's looking to be a bit of a clusterfuck, so maybe this is just the end of it. So maybe I'll just say they all had satisfying endings. Oh my god. But yeah, no, Euphoria, it's a masterpiece of a show. I absolutely love it, and I need a Blu-ray set of this show fucking stat. Watch this show. Next.
The runner-up.
So, I think in, a couple years' time, when The Bear wraps up, and I revisit the show as a cohesive whole, this season might be my favorite show of 2022. But, for now, it stays here. Regardless, this season really impressed me. The writing is just so good, even down to a nuts and bolts level. The dialogue is so authentic and natural. I love the laid-back nature of it. It's very character-centric. It's committed to presenting the food service industry in such an honest and realistic light. By those last 2 episodes, they really made you care and get excited about these people's lives. It's just some really impressive filmmaking to boot. The penultimate episode, I think, was a one-shot or a really well-edited set of long takes. Fucking amazing. The dream sequences were so trippy and the editing was wild in them. Oh my god, I cannot wait to talk about season 2 and 3 with you guys. It's just so good. Fuck yes, The Bear. Next. So there's a full review of the entire show on the channel. But, the 3rd season of Barry was a brilliant escalation of what happened in season 2. I love the direction it took Barry and how they developed and sort of deconstructed these characters. The acting is phenomenal. Bill Hader, Sarah Goldberg are fantastic in this season. And the filmmaking, as usual, is wonderful. I go into a bit more detail in my full review. I love it. It's just a fantastic season of television. Probably the best season of this show. Brilliant in general. You gotta watch Barry. So yeah, no, that's the TV list. Time for the movies. Fucking finally. Yeah.